Good evening, and we have a lot to discuss, including a new potential assassination attempt on President Trump's life. We have a new monkeypox outbreak over in LA County, as well as the FDA issuing a massive recall for a popular statin medication. And so please smash those like and subscribe buttons. And let's begin with the FBI. On Sunday, October 19th, you had FBI Director Kash Patel come out and say that a hunting stand was discovered near the Palm Beach airport in Florida, which had a direct line of sight to the Air Force exit that President Trump would have been using. The hunting stand, it was discovered shortly before President Trump was actually set to arrive at that particular airport. And here's exactly what Kash Patel said when speaking to Fox News. Quote, "Prior to the president's return to West Palm Beach, U.S. Secret Service discovered what appeared to be an elevated hunting stand within sightline of the Air Force One landing zone. No individuals were located at the scene. The FBI has since taken the investigatory lead, flying in resources to collect all evidence from the scene and deploying our cell phone analytics capabilities." Now, in terms of what this perch looked like visually, up on your screen right now is a photo that came to us from the U.S. Secret Service showing what appears to be an elevated hunting platform located on the branch of a tree, not unlike something you might use for hunting elk. But of course, there are no elk in West Palm Beach. There are no hunting animals at all, aside from maybe a few seagulls that fly around. So you combine that fact with this hunting stand having a clear line of sight of where the president was supposed to exit his plane, and that's pretty bad to say the least. Now, upon the discovery, the stand itself was dismantled and it was sent over to the FBI lab for examination to see whether any DNA or fingerprint type evidence can be derived from it. Here was what the FBI Deputy Director, Mr. Dan Bongino, said in a statement on that point. Quote, "This hunting stand was appropriately dismantled. It's being flown to our lab. I believe it's there right now, and all the forensic tools we have, from digital tools to biometric tools, are all going to be applied to try to find out who put this up there and why." He further went on to say in a statement that since this incident, the Secret Service, they made some changes to the security around the Palm Beach International Airport, but understandably, Dan Bongino did not elaborate much further in regards to the details of those changes. Regardless, though, at this very moment, no suspects have been publicly identified, and as Kash Patel mentioned, no individuals were found at the scene where the hunting stand was located. I guess we'll just have to wait and see while both the Secret Service and the FBI run analysis on the biometrics that they were able to collect on the stand itself, as well as the cell phone ping data in the area. If they actually are able to find anything worth noting, I will report it back to you in a future episode. However, also perhaps worth mentioning is the fact that this hunting perch was discovered only about a month after Mr. Ryan Ruth was convicted by a jury of his own peers for trying to assassinate Trump at his golf course in September of last year. And frankly, rereading the details of that earlier assassination attempt, I reread them prior to filming this episode, and it really does put into starker contrast and starker focus the danger that that hunting perch represented near the airport. Let me read to you the details of that earlier assassination attempt number 2. Quote, "A jury found that Ryan Ruth, 59 years old, sought to kill Trump as he pointed a rifle through a fence while the then Republican candidate for president was playing golf. A Secret Service agent discovered Ruth and the rifle and opened fire at him, prompting him to flee the scene before he was arrested hours later. Ruth lay in wait for nearly 10 hours on September 15, 2024, the day of the incident, concealing himself in thick bushes overlooking the 6th hole green. Investigators of the scene found an SKS-style rifle, 2 bags containing metal plates like those used in body armor, and a small video camera pointed toward the course." And it's perhaps also worth mentioning that that assassination attempt that we just read came just 2 months after Trump was shot in the ear while delivering a speech over at a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. And so that's where we're currently at, both as a country as well as in this case. If you'd like to read the statements from both the Secret Service as well as the FBI, I'll throw the links to both. You can find them down in the description box below, right below those like and subscribe buttons, both of which I hope you took a moment to smash already. Now, moving along, over in Los Angeles, it appears that a new rare strain of monkeypox, otherwise known as Mpox, is starting to spread. Quote, The Los Angeles County Department of Public Health said in the statement that it is investigating the possibility of a local spread of Clade 1 Mpox cases after confirming its second case in an adult with no recent travel to regions where this virus is typically found, adding that the person was hospitalized and is now at home and recovering. Now, of course, seeing just 2 cases might not seem like a lot, but for one, if you're seeing officially 2 cases, well, there are likely many more cases that just are not being reported. Maybe the people are at home sick and not going to the hospital. But secondly, monkeypox spreads relatively quickly, especially among the gay subculture community. In fact, you might remember how amidst the COVID pandemic back in the year 2022, you had a simultaneous outbreak of monkeypox, specifically a version of that virus called Clade 2. Quote, Mpox is a rare disease caused by infection with a virus that is in the same family as the one that causes smallpox. It is endemic in parts of Africa. One version of the virus, called Clade 2, was the source of an international health crisis in 2022 as infections escalated in dozens of countries, mostly among males who have sex with other males. At one point, the United States was averaging close to 500 cases per day. And if you remember, it was not just a danger to humans, since there was at least one reported case of a dog catching monkeypox from one of its owners. Now, symptoms of the virus, they include relatively mild things like fever, chills, and body aches. However, in more severe cases, the ones that got a lot of media attention, people were developing these severe lesions on their face, their hands, their chest, and their genitals. They look pretty bad, something akin to leprosy. And so that was all the version of the virus that was called Clade 2 back in the year 2022. However, now the version of the virus that's spreading in Los Angeles is called Clade 1, which you would assume is maybe less dangerous, but according to local officials, it's actually more dangerous than the old variant. However, have no fear, because the local officials also mentioned that there is a way to do something about it, which is, of course, to get the vaccine. Quote, the disease may be spreading in the state and is primarily impacting communities of gay and bisexual men. Clade 1 Mpox cases can be severe. Risk of severe disease and hospitalization are highest for people with weakened immune systems, so it's critical to protect yourself by getting both doses of the Mpox vaccine if you or your sex partners may be at risk for Mpox. So there you have it. Please take care of yourselves out there in the great state of California. I'll throw the link to this local LA County health notice. You'll be able to find it down in the description box along. All right, just to pause here for a super quick moment, I'd like to introduce our sponsor and my own personal gold dealer, American Hartford Gold. Now, as soon as the latest round of tariffs hit, almost immediately, the stock market hit some serious waves, we could say. It became super turbulent, very volatile, and of course, these conditions don't just affect Wall Street. They affect all of us with our investments and our retirement accounts. That's why I want to introduce a company that I trust and I use myself to help secure my own savings, American Hartford Gold. They specialize in helping Americans move their assets into something tangible, something you can actually hold, physical gold and physical silver. 2 precious metals that help me sleep better at night, knowing that I have a hedge against all those brilliant decisions being made over in Washington. Now, they have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, they have thousands of 5-star reviews, and they make the whole buying process super simple. Your metals can be shipped directly to your doorstep, or you can transfer your current retirement account to a tax-advantaged gold IRA. And the best part is that right now, American Hartford Gold is offering an exclusive buy one, get one deal for my viewers. When you call them and mention my name, Roman, for every 1 ounce of gold that you purchase, you can get 1 ounce of free silver. And so take advantage of this special offer. Either call 866-242-2352 or simply text Roman to 65532. That's again, 866-242-2352 or text Roman to 65532. I'll also throw their information. It'll be down in the description box below. Moving along though, the FDA at the national level, they recently put out an urgent notice warning Americans about a major recall to a very common medication that's taken by literally tens of millions of Americans. Quote, the FDA recently said that it issued a notice to a recall of at least 140,000 bottles of the generic version of atorvastatin, a commonly used drug prescribed to treat cholesterol and heart issues. These are calcium tablets that people take to treat cholesterol and, as the statement mentioned, heart-related issues. And the brand name of this drug, the brand name version, is called Lipitor. But Lipitor is not subject to the recall. Instead, the India-produced generic version of the drug is subject to the recall. Quote, The FDA said that several versions of generic atorvastatin calcium tablets are under recall because of failed dissolution specifications, indicating the drug did not dissolve at the expected rate under FDA guidelines. This means that a patient may not be able to absorb the medication properly. The generic 10 milligram atorvastatin tablets under recall were sold in 90 count, 500 count, and 1,000 count bottles. They were made by Alchem Laboratories Limited, based in India, and distributed by New Jersey-based Ascend Laboratories LLC. Now, this FDA notice did not list out whether there were any reported injuries or any reported adverse reactions related to this recall. They only explained that the drug, as they mentioned, was not dissolving according to their specifications, meaning, in a practical sense, it might not be doing what it's supposed to be doing in the body, which is, again, to lower cholesterol levels in the blood. Also, it is perhaps worth mentioning that this most recent recall is not the first citation that the FDA has issued to that particular India-based Alchem Laboratories. Quote, the FDA last year issued a citation to Alchem Laboratories after inspections revealed broken equipment, unsanitary conditions, incomplete records, and other problems. So there you have it. For your reference, atorvastatin is one of, if not perhaps the most prescribed drug in the United States right now, with around 29 million patients having a prescription for it, either brand name or off-label, which is close to 10% of the country. And so if you're watching this and you take it, or perhaps if your parents or grandparents take it, I'm going to throw the FDA's notice on the recall. It'll be down in the description box below. I would highly recommend that you check what's actually in your medicine cabinet or in their medicine cabinet just to make sure it's not covered by the recall. And if it is, well, make sure to switch it out ASAP. Again, the link will be down there in the description box below for your convenience. Also, in an unrelated note, I will mention that if you're looking for an honest source of news, check out the Epoch Times. We're running a phenomenal sale on subscriptions. And so right now is a great chance. If you're on the fence, you've been thinking about it, you're not sure whether you're ready to make the leap. Well, we're trying to push you off that fence and to get you to try it because basically it's a trial subscription. You can cancel anytime, so there's no risk. It barely costs anything, but you will get access to all of the great content, all the articles, all the notices, things like this, urgent recalls. We report on them right away. All the analysis pieces on geopolitical matters and how they affect your life. We have great puzzles on there as well. We have a great health section. We have an arts and culture section. We have a traditional culture section, which talks about sort of the lessons that we can learn from the past. We have infographics on there, documentaries, great video programs. Basically, it's the news source that this country actually deserves. I like to think of it as, I don't know, this is just my opinion. Take it with a grain of salt. But in my opinion, the Epoch Times is what the New York Times should be in this country. It's an honestly unbiased news source where you can come to, you can get informed with the facts, and then you can move along with your life and you're equipped with the facts to see an event, and then you can actually make a judgment call as to what that event means to you based on your own life experience, your own perceptions, the narratives that you believe in. We don't push the narratives on you. We just equip you with the facts so that you can piece together your own vision of what life actually is. In my opinion, that's what a news source should be. And there was not recently, I believe it was like a year or two ago, there's a company called All Sides, and they ran a phenomenal experiment. They took a bunch of media sources, including the Epoch Times, the New York Times, I believe the Wall Street Journal. They took a bunch of news sources, and they took articles from them, and they stripped away any identifiable features. So the masthead, any mention of what the publication is. So the article was just the article. It didn't say which publication it was from. It was just the news article. Then they took a bunch of people and they had them read each article, and then they rated the article based on whether it was biased or not biased, right? Whether it was like a left-leaning, right-leaning, or right down there in the center. And the Epoch Times was one of the best publications according to that study. It was perfectly in the center. People couldn't tell whether it was right-leaning, left-leaning. They just felt like it was informed and unbiased. So that, in my opinion, is the study was conducted in an excellent way. And it's also what I feel subjectively reading the Epoch Times as a publication, right? Like, it really just informs you of the facts and lets you make up your own mind. And the reason that a lot of people think like, oh, it's actually a right-wing publication is actually due to a smear campaign by the mainstream legacy media that basically has smeared it as like, oh, it's like super far right. You shouldn't even touch that publication. But in my opinion, the legacy news outlets, they actually fear an up-and-coming media like the Epoch Times. And so it's this funny situation where it's getting smeared by other media, but you have to remember those other media are actually competitors to the Epoch Times. And so it's like, it's kind of a funny situation. But anyway, that's kind of a long-winded way to suggest to you to try the Epoch Times for yourself. We have over 1 million subscribers, and it's kind of a big movement of people moving away from the legacy outlets to this. I guess I call it an alternative media, but it's growing so big. It's kind of like the new mainstream media. So check it out. I'll throw the link. It'll be down there in the description box below. Again, it hardly costs anything, but in exchange, you will get so much. So again, check it out, and I hope to see you there. Until next time, I'm your host, Roman from the Epoch Times. Stay informed, and most importantly, stay free.